When this Mazda RX-8 was dropped off at my shop, it was completely dead. It didn't run and the engine was completely toast, not to mention all the other flaws it had. But over the past few weeks, I've been wrenching away at it and turned it from a barn find disaster into this beauty. And well, today marks a huge important milestone for this car because today, it's engine time, baby. Because today we will be fully assembling this lovely 13B rotary engine and get everything ready so we can put the engine back into the car in the next video. This is the first time I'm actually building a brand new 13B rotary engine. All of these irons, housings, alongside all of the seals and everything is brand new. I will be explaining everything along the way while we're building the engine, so let's get right into it. We got a lot of cleaning to do before we can assemble a single thing. Whenever you're building an engine, it is vital that you take your time cleaning the whole thing thoroughly, because the last thing you want is any grains of sand or dirt getting into your bearings and wrecking the whole thing. For rotaries, this is especially important because one of these rotors is made up of about 50 individual moving parts, mostly consisting of seals and springs. And you don't want these seals to stick due to dirt or carbon buildup, so you really gotta take your time here. To scrape out all of the grime from the grooves, I'm simply using the old apex and side seals, as these make getting out all of the carbon buildup a breeze. For the rotor faces, I'm using a soft wire wheel and brake cleaner. A lot of brake cleaner. So much brake cleaner, in fact, that after cleaning a set of rotors, you will have the worst headache of your life due to inhaling it all day. But I digress. Alright, check this out. So this is a before. This is how much carbon buildup there was on these poor rotors. And this right here is our after. Squeaky clean rotors. I removed all of the carbon buildup, not only from the surface, but most importantly from the apex seal grooves, from the side seal grooves, and from the corner seal holes. This is very important because once we reassemble everything, all of these little slits and holes will be filled up with springs and their according seals, and we do not want to have any of those seals stick due to carbon buildup, so it's very important to clean those grooves out very thoroughly. And one little fun fact about rotors in a rotary engine: if you take a look at this rotor, this is actually a C rotor. From factory, these come with all sorts of different letters, and every letter has a different weight. So for example, we know that this is a C rotor, and we also know for a fact that the ones that I'm cleaning currently are A rotors. And the crazy thing is that even though they are basically the same exact part, made in the same exact factory, they have totally different weights, up to 50 grams difference. Now you might think that a 50 gram difference between a C rotor and an A rotor doesn't sound like that much, but you need to keep in mind that this is rotational mass, and whenever something rotates, every gram counts, and you want to go as light as possible, which is why I will not be using these rotors that my buddy brought me, but I will be using the ones that came out of this engine. And all of that just because of 50 grams, but they count. Anyways, way too much talking. I'm now gonna clean up the other rotor as well, the eccentric shaft and all of the other stuff we will need for the engine rebuild. And then I'll get back to you once we're ready for the exciting stuff. Let's go. Alright, and now with everything squeaky clean, I'm gonna pack up the rotors alongside all of the seals and springs I need to assemble the whole thing and take them home with me. Now comes the tedious part: installing all of the springs and seals, and most importantly, clearancing the side seals. This is basically the equivalent to cutting piston rings on a piston engine, the only difference being that on a rotary you will need to clearance a total of 12 side seals to a pretty tight tolerance of 0.1 millimeters, which, as you can imagine, takes a long time. So I'd rather do this at home than at my shop. Let's start off by installing the oil control rings into the center of the rotor. Every oil control ring needs to be fitted with an O-ring and carefully placed onto its dedicated spring, which is set into its dedicated groove. Every oil control ring has this little notch, which you will have to line up with the according spring, and the springs themselves are directional too, so take your time in general with this. There's a lot to keep in mind here. Also, when pushing in the rings into their groove, it's important to not run your fingers along them, as these oil control rings are razor sharp and they will cut your fingers up pretty badly. Ask me how I know. The corner seals and the recording springs can go in next, alongside the side seal springs. All of this needs to be put in before you start the clearancing process, and let me tell you, cutting side seals for an RX-8 is pretty weird, but you'll see in a minute. When you take a look at the new side seal, you can clearly see that one edge is already ground down, whereas the other side is completely flat. We will be grinding the flat side to not only match the pre-cut edge perfectly, but also to make the whole seal fit within its groove with a tolerance of 0.1 millimeters. It's important to check the fitment regularly, and on RX-8s you do this by putting two 0.15mm feeler gauges in the slit alongside the seal, push the whole thing to one side and measure the end play with a 0.1mm feeler gauge. Pretty tedious, I know, and of course also nerve-wracking, because if you mess up the clearance of only one of the 12 seals, you'll get yourself into some serious compression issues later. Alright, we got our first side seal done and fully clearanced. Now I just need to repeat this 11 more times. And after I'm done with that, I'll get back to you, because then we will need to pack this entire rotor with Vaseline to make sure nothing falls out during transport. And of course to make sure that everything's lubricated when we first start the engine. So I'd say I'll see you guys when I'm back at the shop with both rotors fully packed. Okay, back at the shop. Everything is completely ready, as you can see, and well laid out. We got our Atkins rebuild kit right here with everything that goes along with it. Assembly loop, Vaseline, some Hylamar, and some RTV. All of our clean parts, our eccentric shaft, oil pump with the gear, and of course our fully packed and prepared rotors. The only thing missing about the rotors now are the apex seals and the springs, but we're gonna install them once the rotors are actually inside the engine. And while we got the engine out of the car, let me address why these RX-8s actually got such a bad rep for being very unreliable and the engine's always blowing, yada yada yada. Because there's a reason for that, and there's actually a big difference between RX-8s and RX-7s. Let me show you. So the first reason why RX-8 engines are actually so fragile would be this. This is an apex seal. This would usually sit up here in the rotor, just like this. And I just want you to look at how thin this is. This is insanely thin. And if you would compare an RX-8 apex seal to an RX-7 apex seal, for example, RX-7 apex seals are actually more than double the height of an RX-8 apex seal. And obviously you don't have to be the sharpest tool in the shed to realize that more material equals more stronger. Let's talk about the second reason why RX-8s are actually so fragile, and that would be the side seals as well. And I really don't know if it shows up on camera, but RX-8 side seals are actually tapered, and they would sit in the rotor just like this. And once again, RX-7 side seals are actually not tapered. They have the same thickness all the way around. And to add insult to injury, RX-8s are actually multi-side port. You might have already heard about that or even read it on your engine cover, because here it also says multi-side port, and that simply refers to the intake and exhaust system of the RX-8, which is also totally different from RX-7s. Because whereas the RX-7 only has one intake hole on the iron, which would be the upper one, RX-8s actually have two. This is the exhaust one. And if we take a look at RX-8 housings, you can also even see how they use the exact same mold from RX-7 housings, because on RX-7s the exhaust port would not be on the iron, but it would actually be right here, this giant hole in the housing. And if we just quickly take our rotor and put it on our brand new iron right here, imagining that the rotor spins in this direction, you can clearly see why these engines are so fragile compared to RX-7 engines, because of this exhaust port right here paired with a tapered side seal. Because once again we have less material on the side seals than on RX-7s, but only this time they are taking a bunch of heat because they need to scoop up all of the exhaust into this exhaust port, causing everything to run hotter and therefore also increasing the risk of something burning up, obviously. Now there are actually a bunch of things you can do about this to make your RX-8 more reliable, and that will be run RX-7 apex seals. Now this is not a plug-and-play solution, keep that in mind, because in order to be able to do that, you will need to bring your rotor to a machine shop, and they will need to CNC this groove a little deeper to make sure you can fit RX-7 apex seals into these grooves. And yeah, that's basically all you can do to make your RX-8 engine a little less fragile. Sadly, that's just the way they're built because of the multi-side port. It really doesn't do the greatest job in these engines. You can see it right here once again. These are the irons with the multi-side port, and they actually have the exhaust right in here, whereas the RX-7 would have it right here. And all of that, paired with the biggest problem of this car, which would be the driver, is just responsible for RX-8 having such a bad rap, for being fragile, for being unreliable, because at the end of the day, everything comes down to how you treat your car, how you maintain it, because keep in mind, rotaries are not piston engines, and you need to treat them a little differently than you treat your normal piston engine. So if you treat your rotary like a piston engine, and it blows, don't complain and put it on the rotary. It's not the rotary's fault, it's your fault, most of the time. Okay, way too much talking, let's put this thing together. I'm first installing the front rotor onto the stationary gear, making sure everything is looped up very nicely, before sliding in the eccentric shaft, or crankshaft if you will. And then it's just a matter of putting in the dowel pins, which will align the housings and irons to one another, and make sure none of the corner seals have twisted. This is super important because later I will be sliding in the apex seals and springs from the top, at which point it would be very bad if one of the corner seals were to block the apex seal groove. But now let's put the housing on, followed by the infamous apex seals. Okay, that's what I would call some big progress. We got our first rotor in, front iron and the front housing. Of course, don't worry, I have put all of the coolant seals in, I just didn't film it, but I'm gonna show you how to do that now with this side because obviously they're still missing here. There's also a bunch of assembly lube everywhere. That's very important because of the first startup.
We're finally at the home stretch now. Let's put on the center iron. This can be a little tricky at times as you need to lift up the eccentric shaft with your knee from the bottom while sliding over the center plate from the top. This is simply because of the shape of the shaft and there's sadly no way of getting around it, but definitely one of the more tricky things when building a rotary engine. But with that out of the way, it's now just rinse and repeat, as a rotary engine is basically just a giant sandwich of irons, housings, and rotors. Let's finish this thing.
Guys, and just like that, we got ourselves a fully assembled rotary engine. This is so insane. Literally everything about this is brand new. Well, at least the irons and the two housings, and of course all of the internals as well. Now, of course, this is not done yet at all, because there's still a bunch of stuff missing, such as the front cover, the oil pump, this entire front stack, which I will need to clearance. I will need to check the end play of the eccentric shaft, as you can see, because currently it wobbles around. Also, I still need to put on a water pump, all of the ancillaries, the flywheel and the new clutch, and of course, very importantly, an oil pan as well. It's super late now, so I'll do all of that until the next video. So in the next video, this lovely engine right here will be fully assembled and ready to go in the car, and that's also what we're going to do in the next video. Put the engine back into the RX-8. Oh, damn, we're getting so close. We're getting so close, and I cannot wait to drive this thing. This is going to be so awesome, especially with this lovely brand new engine. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button if you've enjoyed this video and if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Also, please make sure to click the bell icon, because I've noticed that many of my subscribers are actually not even getting my videos in their subscription feed anymore. And at least to raise the chances of my videos being suggested to you, click the bell icon. I'll see you guys in the next one.